Hey y'all, Devin the Albino Jackass here, and today we are going to take a look at Fallout New Vegas. Probably one of the best games ever made, and we'll get into why I think why here in a minute. Now, in order to properly explain this game without sounding like a spastic, I am going to give you a quick rundown of the plot. But before I do that, we got to get into the world of Fallout a little bit, just in case you're unfamiliar. So, Fallout is a post-apocalyptic role-playing game set in a world devastated by a nuclear war in which culture and technology pretty much advanced the way people thought it would in the 50s. Very comic booky, I guess you could say, almost like Buck Rogers or something like that. But moving on. In Fallout New Vegas, you take the role of the Courier, basically a post-apocalyptic mailman for the Mojave Express, and you get robbed by a man named Benny with a gang of what's called Great Khans. You were carrying something called the Platinum Chip, and the significance of that will be important later. So, from that point on, you take over the game, being rescued by a doctor and a robot named Victor, and again, doctor named Doc Mitchell, in the town of Goodsprings. And from there, you have to track Benny all the way to Las Vegas, where you meet Mr. House. Now, in the background, there is a conflict looming between the NCR, basically a post-apocalyptic America circa 1900. Very, very much reminds me of that, but moving on. They are fighting Caesar's Legion, a Roman-style slave state. And if you actually look behind me here, you could probably see the Legion flag. You might think that means I'd prefer to side with them, but we'll get to that. And they are fighting over Hoover Dam, and this will provide clean water and electricity to the whole of the Mojave wasteland, and the climactic battle is set there. And once you get to New Vegas, your character, the Courier, is placed right in the center of it, and what happens from this point onward is pretty much up to your player. Now, the great thing about Fallout New Vegas for the whole 8 people that saw my Fallout 3 review was your choices actually have consequences in New Vegas. So you can either choose to side with the NCR, who is, again, a good but flawed society, like America. Basically, they've become expansionist, kind of imperialistic. They got a little bit of manifest destiny going on. But they do provide a certain level of stability and safety and security. The Legion, although they are absolutely horrible in many regards, slavery, women are property, regardless. Pretty much all women are slaves. You're either a soldier or a slave in the Legion. It's not a free society at all. But what makes the Legion so appealing is, number one, its leader, Caesar. Edward Salo, as he used to be known. This man took 86 tribes and united them into the Legion. And their territory is some of the safest the wasteland has ever seen. The caravans you can talk to throughout the game, they always say the Legion territory is the safest. So there is a reason that you might want to side with them to bring civilization to the Mojave. Now, you have 2 other factions. One is Mr. House, a pre-war businessman kept alive in a stasis chamber, and has pretty much downloaded his consciousness onto a computer. Now, he is the one who contracted you to bring him the Platinum Chip, which is basically a memory storage device that contains upgrades for him and his robot army of Securitrons. He wants you to go install this Platinum Chip into a bunker holding his Securitron army underneath Fortification Hill, which is the main camp of the Legion. Now, again, you have the choice to either destroy the bunker or do as Mr. House wants. Either way, you're brought before Caesar, and he's probably one of the most Caesar is probably one of the most fascinating characters. But we've covered Caesar, so now I want to cover Mr. House. If you do as he asks, you'll learn a little bit more about him, and again, as I mentioned before, he is pre-war. He was a pre-war industrialist who's like one part Howard Hughes, one part Steve Jobs, and a little bit of Walt Disney thrown in there just for fun. But his main inspiration is Howard Hughes. And he's honestly more fascinating than Caesar in the way he approaches rebuilding civilization. I think he is the most qualified, or maybe not the most qualified, but the most worthy to inherit New Vegas. But he hopes to pretty much play the NCR and Legion off of each other, leave them both weakened, and take New Vegas for himself. Pretty smart political play. But unlike the NCR or the Legion, House seems to genuinely believe in what he says. He seems to have a clear goal for the future. I really, really enjoy the character of Mr. House, and I'm super psyched that he was shown in season 1 of the TV show, and he's rumored to be involved more in season 2. But the last faction that you can side with is Yes Man, and it's basically an android, and this is pretty much the most fun because you can do whatever you want. You're not tied down with the political or moral questions of any of the other factions. You can do what you want. If you want to destroy the Securitrons, you can. If you want to use them, you can. Highly recommended. But it's honestly a great game. The writing is absolutely as tight as it can be. The lore, the world building, it is all perfect. And a lot of my complaints in Fallout 3 are completely erased with this. If I mentioned in that video, the Fallout 3 occupies a similar spot in my heart as Grand Theft Auto 3, and it's a or better yet, it's a great game for its time. So that would be the next. Okay. Fallout 3, if you saw my video on that, occupies the same place in my heart as Grand Theft Auto 3. A great game for its time. Well, this one is Vice City. This is just bigger, better. It's a much tighter experience. It's absolutely wonderful. I highly recommend it. Again, the immersion is just off the charts. The music. Oh, I'm a big fan of old country music, and it's all over the place in New Vegas. It is wonderful. But what makes this game so great is the writing and the factions and the detailed interactions that they all have with each other. It's all so very well thought out, and seeing the NCR grow from Fallout 1 to Fallout 2 to New Vegas is absolutely wonderful, especially when you know that, yes, your choices did matter in those games. And NCR is just one of my favorite factions, especially that Ranger armor. It's just so cool, man. But let's see, what else? If I had to pick some negatives in the game, number 1 would be aiming, and I cannot believe I forgot to mention this in my Fallout 3 video, the aiming on these games. For anyone who is visually impaired like me, you're going to be using VATS a lot. And for those of you who aren't visually impaired, you're going to be using VATS a lot. It is hard to hit anything. I'm not the only one that's complained about this, so it's not just my blind ass that sucks at it. And let me tell you, that's refreshing as hell. But another complaint would be the bugs. I know this is common in a lot of Fallout games, but the bugs do kind of hinder it. Loading screens, there are almost everywhere you go, every door you enter or exit, there's a loading screen. It can get a little annoying. So those are some negatives. Let me see if I can think of any others here. No, that is it. That's all the negatives I have. But the this is one of the most fun, most immersive, most well-written games I think I have ever played in my life. All of the companions are great. Raoul, Arcade Gannon, Cass. The list goes on. It is great. From even the minor factions, the Kings, the Great Khans, the Followers of the Apocalypse, even the Enclave remnants that show up. The town of Novak is fun. It's all wonderful. A great world to explore. I cannot recommend this game enough. It is wonderful. But anyway, guys, that is my opinion. Let me know what you thought of Fallout New Vegas in the comments down below. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you all for watching. This is the Albino Jackass. I shall see you all later. Fallout 4 is coming next, guys. Thank you.